Hello, I am Eleanor Matthews. I am 62 years old and live in a peaceful countryside in Vermont. My life used to be very simple. I was a retired high school teacher with a happy family, my husband, Daniel, and two grown-up children. What I am about to tell you is not just a story. It is a message that I believe you need to hear. A message that will not only help you understand the spiritual battle around us, but also bring hope, freedom, and power to face any challenge. And before we dive into the story, leave a comment below about where you are watching from. I would love to know where we are connecting from around the world. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you won't miss any story. Because, who knows, this message might just be the answer you're looking for. It was just an ordinary winter morning. I woke up, prepared my coffee as usual, and enjoyed the peaceful morning. But just as I lifted my cup, a sharp pain pierced through my chest like a dagger. At first, I thought it was just a mild heart attack, but within seconds, I felt dizzy. My legs could no longer hold me up. I called out for Daniel, but my voice seemed swallowed by the space around me. My body collapsed onto the floor, and at that very moment, I knew I was at the brink of life and death. I cannot describe exactly the moment I separated from my body. One moment, I could still feel the cold wooden floor, and the next, I was standing there, right next to my body. I looked down and saw Daniel panicking, calling 911, his hands trembling as he tried to perform CPR. I could see the desperation in his tear-filled eyes. But the strangest thing was, I no longer felt any pain or fear. A profound sense of peace surrounded me. The space around me slowly became blurred, and then a bright light appeared. That light was unlike anything I had ever seen on Earth. It wasn't blinding, yet it radiated warmth. I felt myself being drawn towards it, not by force, but by a gentle feeling of love, as if I truly belonged there. I began moving, or rather, floating into the light. Images of my life flashed before my eyes, moments of happiness, mistakes, things I had done, and things I had left undone. But instead of judgment, I felt an overwhelming love and unconditional forgiveness. Then I saw a figure in the distance. A man stood there, radiant in the light. As I approached, my heart swelled with emotion. It was Jesus. There was no doubt. I knew it was him. He didn't need to say a word. Just one look from him was enough for me to understand that I was loved unconditionally. I fell to my knees in awe, but he reached out his hand to lift me up. "Eleanor, I have something to show you." I don't know how we moved, but suddenly I found myself in an entirely different place. Before me was a glorious city, a sight so breathtaking that no earthly language could describe it. Towering buildings reached the skies, made of enormous gemstones shimmering with colors I had never seen before. Blue sapphires, mystical amethysts, transparent diamonds reflecting light in a mesmerizing dance. Everything seemed not just material, but alive, vibrating with holiness. The path I stood on was not made of asphalt or stone like on earth. It was pure gold, but as clear as crystal. Each step I took sent waves of light from beneath, as if the very ground was singing praises to the Creator. There was no sun in the sky, yet a gentle, warm light bathed everything. There was no darkness, only a radiance emanating from the very heart of the city, where a divine presence shone gloriously. I knew that was where the throne of God was. I once thought heaven would be a quiet place where souls merely kneel in worship, but no, heaven was filled with life. I saw groups of people laughing, not just as ghostly figures, but as living, breathing beings, with form, emotions, and personalities. They embraced each other like long-lost friends reunited after thousands of years. I saw children playing, their eyes filled with innocence and radiance. They did not age, yet they were not static spirits. They had games, discoveries, and pure joy. A massive structure caught my attention. It was unlike any library I had ever seen on Earth. Towering crystalline walls stretched endlessly, seemingly holding all the knowledge of the universe. I stepped inside and saw souls learning, not just reading books, but discussing, exchanging, and uncovering mysteries never revealed before. I saw a man deeply engrossed in a glowing book, studying universal laws beyond human comprehension. I looked around in wonder, thinking, is all the knowledge of the universe stored here? Immediately, a gentle voice spoke in my mind. All knowledge comes from me, and in heaven you will never stop learning. I trembled in awe. This was not just a place of joy, it was a place of infinite discovery. Jesus led me to a vast square where hundreds of artists, musicians, and scientists were creating. I saw painters painting, but their paintings came to life. Every brushstroke was not just color, but a living part of reality, as if they were shaping creation itself. A woman painted a field of flowers, and as her brush moved, the flowers actually grew, releasing a fragrant aroma. I saw sculptors carving light, not from stone or wood, but from the very energy of heaven, crafting statues that glowed with life. Music filled the air, but there was no orchestra. The very atmosphere was singing. I heard a magnificent symphony blending classical melodies, vibrant rhythms, and frequencies I had never known. I felt each note resonating within me as if it were a part of my soul, each melody a direct praise to God. Finally, Jesus led me to the holiest place, the throne of God. I had never seen anything so glorious. The throne blazed like fire, yet did not burn, surrounded by a radiant rainbow. Light poured forth, not blinding, but filling me with love and holiness. Thousands, millions of souls worshipped, not just with songs, but with their very being. A man knelt, and the throne's light engulfed him, making him shine like a star. Another danced, each movement releasing waves of energy, blending with the angelic hymns. Angels, lined up in ranks, spread their wings and sang praises that penetrated my very essence. I fell to my knees, tears streaming down my face. I could not help but worship, not because I was forced to, but because it was the only response my heart could give to such glory. At that moment, I realized my true purpose. I was created to worship, I was created to seek the Creator, and this was my true home. But then I felt a shift. Jesus, standing beside me, looked at me with deep love. Without speaking, I understood. He held my hand and spoke gently but firmly. "Eleanor, you cannot stay. You have a mission." Pain tore through me. No, please, don't make me leave this place. I wept, my heart breaking. How could I leave heaven? How could I return to earth when I had found perfect peace and love? But Jesus only smiled tenderly. You have a story to tell. There are lost, desperate souls out there, and you are the one who will lead them to me. Go back, Eleanor. Tell them heaven is real, that I love them, and that eternal life awaits those who seek me. Suddenly, an unbearable pain tore through my chest. I gasped, taking a deep breath as if I had just been thrust back into my body. A loud beeping sound filled the room. The bright hospital lights blinded me. I opened my eyes. A stark white ceiling, the pungent smell of antiseptics. I felt tubes attached to my arms, but more than anything, I felt a warm hand gripping mine tightly. Daniel. He was sitting beside me, his eyes red, his face gaunt with worry. As I turned to look at him, tears poured down his cheeks. Eleanor, oh my God, you came back. He buried his face in my hand, trembling with emotion. I weakly squeezed his hand and whispered, I saw him, Daniel. I saw heaven. The room fell into absolute silence. I knew that no one around me could understand what I had experienced, but deep inside, I knew that I had been given a mission. I was no longer the Eleanor Matthews of yesterday. I had seen heaven, I had met Jesus, and I had to tell the world. After my recovery, I couldn't keep this story to myself. I began sharing it with anyone who would listen. I went to churches, speaking to congregations about what I had witnessed. I wrote books. I stood before thousands, proclaiming the truth, that death is not the end, that an eternal love is waiting for us. I sought out those who had lost hope, those who feared death, those who no longer believed in goodness. I held their hands, looked deep into their eyes, and told them with absolute certainty, I have been there, I have seen it, and I promise you, there is nothing to fear. I visited the dying in hospitals, cancer patients, elderly souls lying alone in their beds. I told them about heaven, about the light, about the celestial songs I had heard. You are not alone. He is with you, and one day you will return to where you truly belong. I saw tears fall, saw broken hearts light up with a glimmer of hope, and I knew this was why I had been sent back. I no longer feared death. I no longer worried about the fleeting nature of this earthly life, because I knew one day I would go home. If you are hearing this story, if you have ever doubted or feared what happens after death, believe me, heaven is real, God's love is real, and He is waiting for you. It doesn't matter who you are, what you have done, how many mistakes you've made. The gates of heaven are always open for those who seek Him. We don't live just once. Death is not the end, and the most important thing in life is not what you have, but how you have loved. So live with purpose, love others, forgive, help those who are lost. Because one day, when you cross the threshold into eternity, you will see that it was all worth it. Heaven is waiting for you. Are you ready to seek Him?